I want a show that will make headlines. The Huxtables, Cosby, a genius, revolutionary. But we can't go down that road again.
The network does not want to see Negroes on television unless they are buffoons.
Have you ever thought about just quitting?
I have a contract. The only way I get out of that is if I get fired. And that is what I intend to do. I know you're familiar with minstrel shows, variety shows, like in Living Color.
Right. That was dope.
Man Tan, the new millennium minstrel show.
We're gonna need a little more money for this.
This could be bigger than Friends, Ally McBeal, even my boys Amos and Andy.
Yeah.
You're putting white actors in blackface?
We're using black actors with blacker faces.
Show.
Not a YouTuber, just like making videos. And you know, this was something I was pondering in my mind. I'm gonna revisit the movie Bamboozled, you know what I mean, the Spike Lee joint, year 2000. And you know, and it's one of my favorite Spike Lee joints. And that movie, even though it had like, I don't know, a mixed reception and so forth, I always looked at that movie as sort of like a metaphor of things. Like, you know, you can't, you know, when I was first digging it, first watching the movie, I said, well, this will never happen in real life. They'll never have a Man-Tan new millennium minstrel show, you know, like that, you know, like characters coming out in blackface. That, but I understand its meaning, its symbolic meaning, that, you know, like blacks are still shucking and jiving, and you know, in the entertainment industry, and white people are loving it, and black people are loving it. If you watch that film, you know, the people who liked this, you know, saying buffoonery, were both blacks and whites. Blacks just didn't know any better, and they don't know that they're being made fun of and so forth. But now that I think about it, in 2014, if they was to bring that show on the air now, you know, just like it was, you know, in the film. You know what I'm saying, with the watermelon patch and so forth, all the buck dancing, hey, I think it would be a success. And I think white people and both black people would would be fans of the show. And even though it'll have a lot of distractors, a lot of people be protesting it, I can see them now. You know what I'm saying? I can see these willy-nillys now. They be like, why are you mad at the new Millennium Minstrel Show? Why don't you get mad at Love and Hip Hop and World Star Hip Hop or Housewives of Atlanta and bullshit like that, you know, and so forth. So that's interesting. Also with Spike Lee movies, if you ever get them on DVD, I love watching the director's commentary. You know what I'm saying? Listening to Spike Lee's commentary is just, I'm like, it's almost as enjoying, as good as enjoying the movie without it. You know what I'm saying? As is. You see what I mean? And you know, and we're gonna go into the actors. I want to go into were a lot of the actors in that movie, were they hexed after they done Bamboozled? Was their career, you know what I'm saying, did their career take a nosedive because of this movie? And so we're going to get into that. You know, first, let's look at the main characters. Damon Wayans, Jada Pinkett, Michael Rappaport, Tommy Davidson, and Savion Glover. And the thing is, during the director's commentary, Spike Lee said, you know, because Spike Lee gets a lot of criticism for his movies, he said that some critic, you know, some film critic stated that Spike Lee never liked the show In Living Color. And so therefore he casted Tommy Davidson and Damon Wayans, and we know that they were on that show, to kind of like sabotage him or whatever, or to poke fun of him since he didn't like the show In Living Color. He used these characters in this movie called Bamboozled. You see what I mean? And Spike Lee said that that was completely preposterous and so forth. But you know, people love to run at the gums when it comes to Spike Lee. Now, also the thing is, after Bamboozled, I don't even think, well, Spike Lee even produced a Spike Lee joint that hit the theaters. I know he did Inside Man, which Inside Man, and this goes into, you know what I'm saying, how profitable are, you know what I'm saying, black movies and you know, black cinema, you know, in Hollywood. That Inside Man was his most successful movie in the box office. You know, it cleared 120 million. Now, Spike Lee only directed that movie. You know what I mean? He didn't write it. You know, so and that wasn't a black movie. Yes, it had black actors in there, but you know, Denzel Washington was the leading character. But you wouldn't call that just a, you know, like a black film and so forth. Matter of fact, Spike Lee produced a number of films that weren't, you know what I'm saying, wasn't a black thing. For instance, one called Summer of Sam, which that's one of my favorite joints, and 25th Hour, and I think there's another one and so forth. But yeah, you know what I'm saying, and the thing is, that film Bamboozled was so low budget that they filmed it by using high-end camcorders. You know, they like taped camcorders everywhere instead of getting multiple shots. Just they had these camcorders everywhere, and then when they actually showed them film shooting the show, that's when they used like your standard Hollywood camera on rails or whatever, when they was actually doing the stage show and so forth. But yeah, so let's go into the actors there. Now Savion Glover, now he's you know, this dude's a professional tap dancer or whatever, and he's not much of an actor, so I can see why he didn't get much work in film after that, because Iron Man, if there was one Achilles heel of that movie, it was Savion Glover's performance. Not him tap dancing, but his acting. And I'm like, he's just not a good actor. You know, some people they bring on, like for instance, you had MC Search in that movie, and you had Mos Def. I don't know if they had and you had a lot of people that weren't that were rappers that weren't, and you know, Charlie, you know, but and they did a decent job, you know what I'm saying. But you know, Savion Glover, one of the main characters, yet his acting was just, you know, they needed to work with him. And it's funny because they had a in that movie, they had a professional acting coach. That the female that plays Pierre Delacroix, Damon Wayans' mother in that movie. I can't recall her name, but that's what she does for a living. Besides doing cameo, doing little bits and pieces in movies, she's like a professional acting coach. They should have had her really work with Savion Glover. And so forth. Even Paul Mooney was in that movie, and he did a good job. Just him acting there, he just seemed very natural and so forth. Not just his stage performance, but when he was just sitting there talking to, you know, Damon Wayans, who played his son, you know, he did a good job. Okay, but we're gonna go into Damon Wayans and Tommy Davidson. And I think first Tommy Davidson. Now, Tommy Davidson was never a big actor. He was never really a major player in Hollywood. You know, I know he did the movie, I think, Strictly Business. But, you know, after Bamboozled, you know, I can understand that he probably always had work in TV. I know he does some kind of voice for a cartoon character or whatever, you know. But he was in the movie Juwanna Mann. Juwanna Mann came out in, I think, 2001. Right after Bamboozled. Now, Juwanna Mann was panned. It was not a funny movie. It was just another movie with a whole lot of buffoonery, the infeminization of the black man, as they say. You know, about a basketball player, you know, who dressed up like a woman to play for the women league. And you know, the poster for Juwanna Mann, a guy's holding some panties and a jock strap, you know. And Tommy Davidson character, he's not even, he played a character called Puff Smokey Smoke, or Puffy Smoke Smoke, some shit like that. He played some kind of just a corny, and this was right after Bamboozled. And Waterman is just, that's one of the worst. That's up there with Soul Plane as one of the worst kind of movies that you know, portray black people, you know, so forth. And that movie came out in 2001. And Damon Wayans, after Bamboozled, his film career, and you know, lucky, you know, Damon Wayans resurrected himself with Wife and Kids, that sitcom. A sitcom that really only lasted 5 years, but he was in Marcy X, and Marcy X came out in 2003, and I think this was, after Bamboozled, this was his next theatrical release. I think it was only released in a certain number of theaters and so forth, but this Marcy X is horrible. It's terrible. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna I couldn't get through the movie. Marcy, and look at the name, Marcy X, and it's about some blonde-haired girl who was the female who played in the movie Friends, the kind of like the Dipsy blonde, and I guess she wants to. She's like the daughter of a record company mogul or whatever, and she wants to get into rap music and something like that. Just she's an uptown suburban girl trying to be hip. You know, it was just ridiculous. And I guess her and Damon Wayans' character have some sort of love connection going on. The movie was just flat out silly. It was heinous. It was like every possible negative connotation a movie can have. This one had it. For a comedy, it was not funny. Plot was horrible, didn't make any sense. On top of that, it was boring. The movie was just flat out embarrassing. And I want to do it like, you know, they say in the 1980s there was a video game called E.T. that came out on the Atari. And they said this video game was so horrible that Atari took a lot of unsold copies of the video game and buried it in a desert in Nevada somewhere, or New Mexico. That's how I want to do with Marcy X. I want to just take all the copies I can find and bury it in a desert, you know, in a landfill somewhere. Now I think about the name Marcy X, Malcolm X. You got Marcy X. I'm like, God, why would Damon Wayans do this? Damon Wayans and Tommy Davidson both, you know what I'm saying, played in horrible movies, started horrible movies right after Bamboozled, and that's what the movie Bamboozled was about. It was against these betrayal of black people and so forth. Now I can understand that they're actors, you know, they're in Hollywood weird, you know, and they're gonna do whatever they get paid, but god damn, you know what I'm saying, have some sort of decency. And you know, Bamboozled may have, maybe I'm going on a conspiracy theory. Maybe it somehow sabotaged their career. But the movies they did after it killed it. I'm not saying that their careers are dead. As I said, they do TV shit, you know, voices for a cartoon character. I know Damon Wayans was in the Farce of the Penguins or whatever, you know, the voice, but it wasn't like. But Damon Wayans was a major player. I'm like, he was in. You know, the Last Boy Scout. You know, he was in, you know, Major Payne. He was in some movies where he was the starring role. Mo Money, Blink Man, you know, and so forth. Even though I know that, you know, his movies wasn't doing so well. You know, I know the Last Boy Scout did good, but after that was, but. You see what I'm saying? And then you had other characters like Jada Pinkett. I don't know what she was in after Bamboozled. Jada Pinkett, she set for life. I know she was in the Matrix Reloaded, Matrix movies or what. I don't know if she was. And Michael Rappaport. I don't know if Copland, if you ever heard the movie Copland, which I thought was a good movie. I didn't know if that had Michael Rappaport. I don't know if that came before or after Bamboozled. But you know, you didn't hear much for him. I know Rappaport, he had a sitcom, a War at Home, a short-lived sitcom, but you didn't really hear much from them. But you know, it's funny, you know what I mean? That movie, and so and the killer part is with Mos Def. And Mos Def, you know what I'm saying? And I haven't seen him in much movies, but I admit, after Bamboozled, Mos Def's, you know, his movie career sort of took it off because Bamboozled kind of put him But I think about, he was in the movie 16 Blocks where he plays a criminal, and he was in the, people forget that Mos Def was in Monsters Ball, the epitome of, you know, you know what I'm saying, the failure of blacks in Hollywood or whatever. Now, I word that wrong and so forth. And matter of fact, I'm working on a video right now called the Downfall of Holly Berry. Because she's doing TV now, but that's a project I'm working on. All right, thanks for watching, and Sally Ford.